Yes. You guys all got it? Okay, awesome. All right, calling the meeting to order at 9:31 a.m. Welcome everyone and good morning. I hope everyone had a good long weekend. We're joined by a couple of folks who will be delegating today, and I've had a request for under the completion of agenda to move them up in front of the in-camera so they don't have to shuttle in and out of the room. So if someone would like to make that motion, so moved by Commissioner Rahman, second by Commissioner Hopkins, we'll be moving up the delegation and then receiving and accepting the USC's delegation as well. So that will be under item 4 now. So everything will be bumped down. All in favor of that? Any opposed? So that carries. So we'll have to get delegations moved up. And then, yeah, I'll second the agenda. And then moving on to disclosure of pecuniary interest. Sorry. Disclosure of pecuniary.
Sorry, no, I was just making sure that we tightened up the language around the USC delegation because it wasn't on the agenda, just so that.
Or do you want to mean the notwithstanding our procedural?
Yeah,
Sure.
just wanted to make the language clear that it was notwithstanding our procedure, that we're going ahead with the delegation.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. So do you want to make that motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, so motion on the floor, notwithstanding our procedures, we'll be hearing a delegation, which we received communication of on Friday. And so moved by Commissioner Rahman, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Any discussion on walk-on delegation? Seeing none, then calling the vote, all in favor? And any opposed? Okay, so that is doubly approved. Okay, and then any disclosures? Seeing none, then I'll move to presentations and delegations. So starting off with Mark Walker, who submitted his letter. Mark, if you want to come to the table, there's a chair just in the middle, just in front of you. To your left a little. There's a chair right there.
Oh, thank you.
And welcome. Thank you very much for your communication and for coming this morning. You'll have 5 minutes to go through maybe what's going on in your communication, and then we'll be able to ask questions and have a discussion. So I'll turn it over to you, and you've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. All right, yes, Mark Walker. I've got a couple of issues pertaining to specialized transit, that we were web portal or booking. Two main items that I think slipped through getting addressed before the system was launched, and I'd like to bring them up. So first is the login system itself. It doesn't have multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication or passkey functionality. And for the information that's contained after getting access to our logins, I think that's a requirement in this day and age for a public-facing web service. Initially, there was other issues, really weak passwords, maximum, that has since been changed. So there's been some improvement, but still, I think there's not enough because the information in there is our names, phone numbers, addresses, health conditions, mobility aids, our trips, the addresses and times, and that's accessed maliciously. That's going to be a bad situation for riders and also clinicians as well. That's the first issue. And the second issue is still on the web portal. There's some accessibility issues pertaining to screen reader support. So a screen reader is used to read out the text and controls for people who are blind or vision. And there's items that are not labeled properly. There's some things that get spoken multiple times. It normally doesn't do that. Most websites don't do that. And there's some misleading information that gets read out. So there's we search for an address and the screen reader readout. Use arrow keys, up and down arrow keys to navigate This is while I'm using a phone which doesn't have arrow keys. So things like that, make it, frustrating and, for people to use. It's, takes extra time to go through, get things done. And, for people who are newer to using a screen reader, these type of things, they'll go over them and say, well, no, this, I'm not dealing with this. So those things, I think should have been caught early on, and, so bringing those up. Along with that, I brought up these issues by email in May, and then followed that up with a video showing my screen and, with the screen reader calling out. And, then while I narrated along, and, there was another issue that I did the same in July, early July. Both of those items have not been looked at as far as I know. And we certainly haven't been addressed. The issues are still there. So what I'm asking for is, the login system to be addressed with, multi-factor authentication, passkey support to make things, safeguard our information. Second, fix the accessibility issues with screen readers. And then going on from there, third item too, it seems like the process for dealing with accessibility issues needs some work. It's, this thing has gotten through, or still there since May, and there doesn't seem to be urgency to address it. And along with that, fourth item, to develop a system where items like this and others can be dealt with, especially in a timely manner. And fifth item is to provide an organizational chart for management and operations of specialized transit service. As far as I know, I think I'm dealing with the person who should be able to deal with these issues, or at least but be in touch with people who should be able to. But like I said, this has been going since May, and since early August, there's been no communication at all about it. So I'd like to get those things addressed to make things better for all riders, and reduce the risks for all us riders and the commission as well. I'd like to thank you for considering these issues, and look forward to getting a resolution on these issues.
Thank you. Yes, and appreciate you coming and again submitting the letter, making some time to explain what's going on. So just for the process, happy to have some discussion and see if there's any motions from the commission, and you're happy to sit at the table where we'll ask you questions if we have any.
Yep.
And then, yeah, so I don't know if there's anyone who wants to start. Commissioner Rahman?
Yes, so first, thank you, Mark, for taking the time to write to us and then coming here and delegating, as well as your ongoing communication and the effort you made to kind of screen capture everything as you went along and share voice notes on what you're seeing, or what you're going through as you access the technology. I think it would be helpful to get a report back. I'm not sure if you would like that. I'm prepared to make a motion to ask for a report back on these items and the list that was provided. I think probably the org chart can be provided right away, and the rest could be things that are reported. So if anyone else would like to support that, but that's my motion this time.
Do you want to do motion to receive the letter delegation and report back?
Yes, please.
Okay. By Commissioner Rahman, any seconder? Second by.
Yeah, just looking to see what the report back would look like. One, before I second, just as we put expectations clearly out there, and thank you, Mark, for this. That for me, notes I made off of the presenter was just looking to see if this can come back within the next quarter. I don't know how much work it would be for staff. I would like to know if there's some of the issues raised, if we have a staff complement on site, or if that's a third party contractor who does that specialty work on the website, realizing that will affect turnaround time. What it would look like for that, the pass key for protecting people's information, realizing, cyber attacks are always on an increase. And, the accessibility issues as raised from the May and July ones for ongoing issues. That would be what I'm looking for in that report back for time.
Sure, and I go and ask that.
Yes, please.
For a timeline, and would you be able to capture the items that were listed?
For the timeline, that shouldn't be an issue, that it would be within the next quarter. And yes, we can certainly provide, commentary with respect to the issues raised. We will require discussions with a third-party vendor because the customer portal is third-party. So there will be some back and forth there required, but that shouldn't limit us getting back within the next quarter.
Thought from Commissioner, or wait, sorry, you.
Yeah, so I'm happy to second that. That's all Salubra's intent. And when that report comes back with the third party vendor, if any of those changes and work can be done within the current budget and contract, or if we would be looking at, touching.
That was
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move in seconds. It's on the floor. Commissioner Trossel.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I was not willing to second this because, I want to be a little bit more purposeful in the motion, and, I would like something back quicker, but I have some questions, that will actually help me form what I would like in my motion. So I will be making an amendment to the motion, but, I would like to, have the opportunity when it's time to ask some questions.
Yeah, you asked me now.
Well, first of all, I'm Sam Trussell. I'm one of the commissioners, and I really appreciate you coming. This is not the first set of complaints that I personally have heard about this system, although I think you've articulated them particularly well. What I'd like to know first is if you can tell me this, to whom did you address your May email?
I've been in touch
To the
with
chair.
Sean Wilson about this issue.
Okay. And you're saying you did not receive a response?
Well, initially, the responses were that London Transit can't identify the issues. And that's when I made a screen recording with the audio and went through it that way. And again, it was, we don't see the issues. And with respect to the login, the responses I got back were that this items in place were sufficient for the website.
Okay, my next question to the chair is, you said things are not labeled properly. Could you be more specific about what you feel was not labeled properly?
Yes, so with the screen reader, just to do a brief overview how it works, because I know that's linked to a lot of people who never come across it. So it reads out the text on a web page, or it can read out the text on a button, or it can say drop down. If there's a drop down menu, that type of stuff. And specifically for what's not labeled, there's a number of things that just get read out as linked. So it tells me that there's something there, but I have no idea what it is. And visually, there's probably a small icon there, but like I said, it's not labeled, so the screen reader can't get that information to speak out what the control is.
Thank you. You also said, and I'll ask staff to respond, please, but I just have one more question. You indicated there was misleading information. Could you specify what you were referring to?
Yes, so that was the I did touch on that earlier, but so as part of the web portal, when we go to search for an address to book in a ride, for example, part of it is we search for address where we want to go. And a list will come up, it'll populate with, let's see, 6 items or however many matches. And the screen reader reads out, use up and down arrow keys to navigate the list. But this is happening on a phone, Apple phone. There's no physical keyboard attached, no Bluetooth keyboard. So things like that. It's like I said, it takes extra time to go through stuff like that, and for people who are newer to using screen readers, it adds a lot of frustration. They're trying to use a system that's meant for people with disabilities, the paratransit system, and they're coming across these issues that take extra time, are frustrating, and for some people, it tells them that, well, I'm not going to use this. This is too hard to use. Whereas other websites, other apps, that they are able to use without issue.
Thank you. Should I just yield for a while so other people can ask questions before I get to Mr. Wilson? Or should I?
You can continue on your train of thought.
Okay, I'll address my questions to the chair, to Mr. Wilson, if that's, okay.
Yeah.
Could you confirm that there is not, there is not the authentication, the two-factor authentication, or is that incorrect?
The chair? Yeah, that's correct.
That there is not two-factor?
Correct.
When we entered into a, contract with, and I'm sorry, I don't have the RFP or the contract in front of me right now, but when we entered into a contract with a third-party vendor, did we have any specifications in there about the level of, privacy requirements that would be, appropriate, that this would be covered by section 7 of PIPEDA that speaks generally about adequate safeguards for, security, however, the standards, well, could you just address that?
Through the chair, the contract meets expectations with respect to standards.
When you say it meets expectations, could you be more specific, because it sounds like it doesn't?
Through the chair, it was required to have a pass key to log in, which is what the standards were, and it does have that.
Okay, but it doesn't, the contract does not require dual authentication.
Does not.
And when was that contract entered into?
Forgive me, I don't know exactly the date, but somewhere mid last year.
Okay,
Wait, Mr. Trustee.
I don't know the exact date.
okay, I think I'll let others ask some questions now, and I'll come back with a motion, with an amendment to the motion. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Lehman, you're good? Over? Yeah,
I
okay.
have a question on follow-up.
Sorry, unfortunately, just given the style of our session, we usually ask questions to you. Once the delegation is done, we don't accept more, but I don't know. Commissioner Plaza?
I have a question for you, to our delegate, if there's anything that they would like to add here in our conversation.
Thank you. Mark, if you'd like to add.
Yes, so, Sean, you mentioned that there is passkey functionality. I don't know if that's there. I haven't seen that. It hasn't been advertised. Can you touch on that to elaborate, please?
Mr. Wilson?
I used the wrong term. There is a password required to get it, which is minimum of 4 characters to access the system.
Any other
Thank you, yeah.
questions from commissioners? Commissioner Trassa, would you like to craft your amendment?
Yes, I'd like to amend the main motion, to specifically address the addition, and I want to use the proper term of art in terms of double authentication. May I just ask what that proper term is? You mentioned it. I'm sorry.
Multi-factor?
Multi-factor authentication.
Multi-factor or two-factor.
Yes,
authentication.
because I think a simple password that can only be, that only has to have 4, numbers invites people to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think that's a reasonable request. the second part of it is I'm not going to address things not labeled properly or misleading information, but the second part of it would be to review the system in light of, the comments that we heard today. And the third part of it is to review the protocol for responding to members of the public who raise issues or concerns about the system. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'd be looking for a second.
Do you mind repeating the first one? Because I just heard you say multi-factor, so I'll be sure there's that.
Yes, that the report address the authentication issue. Almost like that.
I'm just gonna grab so the 5 items that Commissioner Rahman asked for, address and resolve the login, including multi-factor authentication. It's the first one. The second one is address and resolve accessibility issues as they pertain to screen reader use. Third is develop and implement procedures to address accessibility requirements before changes are made. Develop and implement procedures to address writers' issues in a professional timely manner and provide organizational charting. So my ruling would be that your amendment is already included in the initial requested motion. I don't know if there's anything that.
Including the organizational chart?
Yeah, that's the last one on the file.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And finally, I would like to report back quicker. I don't wanna wait until the next quarter. I think
So
that,
if you within this quarter, so it'd be before
Before December.
so the next 2 months.
okay, I guess I'll just leave it at that then. I do wanna remind everybody that, security issues are regulated. And we might not be in compliance with the latest best practice, so, I think if a diligent review of that first request would be to look at the, privacy commissioner's, statements under section 7 of IP to make sure that there is not something specific that could guide us in moving. All right, thank you.
And then Dr. Sharama and Commissioner Flores.
Thank you. Just my final comment is just, I wanna, again, leave this in the hands of staff to come back with a report. Something that we will have to consider is how multi-factor authentication works with AODA. Because there are some challenges around using 2 factors. So again, coming back with options that are AODA compliant as well.
Thank you, and staff are taking notes of that as well. Commissioner Flores.
Thank you. It's just a request that when the report is ready, that our delegation of Mark would receive a copy so that he knows it's back. And at that time, if there's any further follow-up, based on the report, have to receive it.
Great, good point.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh,
Commissioner Trust.
one other thing, and that said report be referred to the advisory committee and placed on their next agenda for their comments.
So would you want it to come to them first and then Commissioner, because it might delay it coming to us by a moment if you do that.
I would just assume that when the report is done, it just be sent to everybody, so we don't have to do that double authentication just to get the report to them.
Great, okay, that works for you. Okay, staff are nodding. All right, so is that everything, folks? Good, okay, so I have moved in second, so I'll call the vote on this item. All in favor? And any opposed? That carries. All right, thank you very much for coming, Mark. So we look forward to receiving a report back on staff meeting items and hopefully we can address and come to a resolution. At this point, if you'd like to take a seat back in the gallery, and we will be in touch with when that report comes back. Thank you very much again.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll be moving on to our next delegation. So if you folks would like to come and find a seat at the table, we've already moved a second to receive it. So same process, you'll have 5 minutes. You can split it or take it off. And then we'll move into motions and questions afterwards. So welcome and thanks for coming.
Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathleen Henricus, and I'm joined by Omar Syed. We are the President and Vice President of External Affairs of the University Students' Council at Western University, representing over 36,000 undergraduate students between Western, Kings, and Huron. Transit is one of the most important services that students rely on, whether it's getting to campus, internships, part-time jobs, or just getting around the city of London. public transit is central to student life and student safety. We're here today because students have made it clear to us that transit is not meeting their needs. Over the past month, the USC has received an unprecedented volume of complaints about LTC service. Students are frustrated, and especially so when they consider the fact that Western students are the single largest source of LTC fare revenue, funding roughly 30% of the annual budgeted fare revenue. Last year, we renegotiated our LTC contract with a 5% increase, with students agreeing to pay more, expecting that service would meet their needs as populations on campus continue to grow. Unfortunately, they've experienced the opposite. Maintenance issues reduced service on routes 13 and 94, cutting 2 to 3 buses per hour at peak times between Masonville and Western. Additionally, the rerouting of Route 10 further removed another 3 buses per hour on that same corridor. So in total, that's up to 6 fewer buses per hour during peak demand on a corridor that many students, but also Londoners rely on every day. We raised these concerns with LTC management, but responses have been non-committal. We were told that maintenance-related reductions might be resolved in the coming months, and that the impacts of Route 10's rerouting would not be reviewed for another 12 to 18 months. For the students we represent, that wait time is unacceptable. But behind these numbers are real stories. Students have told us about waiting at their stops well ahead of their classes, only to be passed by 2 to 3 full buses in a row. Some have missed assignments or mandatory labs because they couldn't get to campus on time, while others have had to spend money that they can't afford to be spending on Uber or other rideshare services just to make sure they aren't late for work or class. These aren't just inconveniences, they're barriers to a quality education, employment, and participation in the broader living community.
But we're here today to find a path forward to create solutions together. We have 4 recommendations that we believe would help address students' needs, both now and in the future. The first is better facilitating student feedback. Students are among the most frequent users of LTC, yet their voices often only come to you in moments of crisis or frustration. We are recommending that the USC be granted permanent delegation status on this commission, which would create a structured, ongoing space where student concerns, feedback, and priorities can be shared directly with the LTC, not occasionally, but consistently. Second is exploring service improvements together. While we know the LTC faces significant constraints, we also see opportunities for partnership. Students regularly raise concerns about accessibility, frequency, and reliability, but by collaborating, we can identify areas where the USC resources and advocacy can complement LTC's operations. For example, in providing a late night transit initiative together. Third is enhancing our data transparency. Being meaningful partners, we need to understand the challenges the LTC is facing. That means access to operational data, like where overcrowding is leading to students being denied boarding, where service challenges are most acute, and how service levels have shifted as Western's enrollment has increased. Having this information will not only help us communicate more effectively to our students, but also align our advocacy with your operational realities. Which leads me to our final request, which is joint advocacy for funding. We know that many of the pressures that the LTC face are financial. That's why we're calling for a more coordinated approach to advocacy at all 3 levels of government. If the USC and the LTC present a more united front, it strengthens our ability to secure the funding required to meet student and community needs. Transparency around how funding constraints shape service decisions will make our advocacy stronger, and it will also help students understand the broader context of transit and funding. To be clear, we want to be constructive partners. We're not here just to point out problems. We're here to build solutions with you. By creating a direct channel for student feedback, exploring service improvements together, sharing transparent data, and jointly advocating for funding, we can ensure that transit is more accessible, reliable, and sustainable for the whole London community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. You're perfectly on time. So appreciate you coming to provide us with that delegation. I might turn it over to commissioners to see if there's questions or motion that wants to get crafted. Commissioner Rahman, and then Trotz, and then Hawkins.
Thank you. So just to start, I want to thank our delegates for coming today and providing their feedback. I know that this is communication that you've shared with commissioners individually as well, and communication that you've had with staff. And I know that staff have been willing to meet and review these concerns. As you've seen in our package, we've also had the fall update. The fall update, in my opinion, addresses a lot of the concerns that you're raising as well. So it's good that, in a sense, we're all kind of seeing the same thing. and looking to address the same problem. So I would say from the perspective of joint advocacy, I think we've got a good case right there in terms of where to go with that. I'm open to moving the recommendations that are contained within your delegation. So that was for the permanent delegation status. I believe that as a key stakeholder, it makes sense to provide you with ongoing delegation status. Second, exploring solutions. I think that that's something we're all committed to, as it was mentioned in the fall update. As soon as more buses are available, that, you know, the response is we put them where they're needed. So I think that just getting more of an idea of what the window of time and what that might look like. I agree. I think that's something easy that we could add into our reporting structure. The operational data, agreed. Open data to me is always the best way to go. And lastly, the joint advocacy. So I'm happy to move that recommendation just to get the conversation started on those 4 items.
And can I also check in, receive
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I forget to do that.
Commissioner Tressa?
Yes, I would second that. My only question is the request for permanent delegate status, or is the request not for a voting member of the commission, but for a ex officio member, non-voting member of the commission, who would be receiving packages and could sit at the table but would not have a vote? And if the way I heard it was the latter, but I'd be interested in asking the delegates to clarify that if it's okay with the chair.
Certainly, would you like to clarify?
Yeah, I think the second option would probably provide us a bit more access to kind of like agenda items and things like that. So I think it would be preferred for us to have a non-voting ex officio status on this issue. That's something that could be willing to provide.
Yes, and I would either amend the main motion to include that instead, or just second the motion if the maker of the motion agrees that's what should be in the motion.
Commissioner Robert, and I might ask staff, I don't know if we're allowed to change our terms of reference without council.
That's what I was gonna say. So the challenge is, if you get one done quicker than the other, I would say the permanent the delegation status, the easiest way to go right now. We are undergoing a governance review, which is going to bring back recommendations to council on our structure. That would be very valuable feedback for that conversation. And I think that, in my opinion, is the place to have that conversation, is with council as we look at that governance review. So I'm happy to support what I interpreted to be the request at this time, which is the permanent delegation status, until such time as that governance review is done.
So on the floor is the permanent delegation status. So Commissioner Tressa, would you still like to second?
No,
No, maybe someone else like to second that motion. Or I'll second it. Sorry. Oh, Commissioner Raymond, are you gonna second it?
Sorry, can you just read that motion out again for me, please?
You wanna do it or? Oh, you got it, okay. Would you like to read it?
Initially, it's to receive the communication and then to better facilitate feedback by including the USLC, permanent delegation status. Number 2, exploring solutions and service improvements together. Number 3, enhancing operational data, so access to data. And number 4, joint advocacy towards funding.
Okay, can I ask sorry, Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Raymond.
can I ask the mover what that means? Like, as far as permanent delegation status, does that mean, how often does that mean coming to board meetings?
It means that they would have an open opportunity to delegate at each of our meetings on a go-forward basis.
Commissioner Raymond.
Yeah, I'm not too, I'll let, I understand, the chair was gonna second it, so I'll let that happen.
I'll second that. Commissioner, do you have any follow-up questions, Commissioner Raymond?
Yeah, through you, Chair, there's a number of concerns mentioned in the written communication to us. and I just, first question is, they did mention that they, had a contract with a 5% increase in their fees. Through you, Chair, to staff, what discount do they enjoy right now compared to regular transit users?
You can, what's the annual fee right now? Through the chair, so the annual fee that students pay right now is $285, and our monthly pass is $112.
Yeah.
Times 12, I don't have a calculator here, can't do that math in my head.
Commissioner Lehman, any follow-ups?
Yeah, okay, so they get quite a discount on their usage, and I guess what I'd like to hear from staff, the concerns they raised, how does that, are other regular transit users that pay considerably more, are they feeling the same service issues due to maintenance, et cetera?
Through the chair, yes, as staff report number 1 indicates, when we recognized that we weren't going to have the buses required for service, we took a look at the entire network and pulled buses out that we believed would have the least impact system-wide, while still ensuring that every area of the city that previously had access to transit would continue to have access. So we've done our best, and going forward, as buses become available, we are putting them back where we're seeing the most issues. So this is definitely an across the network issue. All of our customers are experiencing the same issues. We're hearing from all customers, and obviously we recognize that this is not a position we'd like to be in. But we're doing our best to address the most predominant needs as we've got buses available.
Commissioner Lehman?
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, so I understand the concern from Western students, and they're correct. They do make up a big share of our revenue. There's no question. However, the maintenance issues affect all transit users, and it's tough for me to say one should suffer at the expense of the other, especially since one is getting a pretty heavily subsidized rate compared to regular transit users. Anyway, those are my comments. We have to get these maintenance issues addressed. There's no question. I'm also, I agree with the delegation that student ridership is increasing as Western's enrollment goes up. So I understand that point of view. But I just want a fair and equitable sharing of the pain, so to speak, with all transit users as we face some of these maintenance issues that we'll be discussing. So those are just my comments on this one.
Thank you. I did have Trosso and then Hopkins after, but I don't, Commissioner Trosso, if you commented, and then I'll put Flores on the list.
Yes, through the chair, I think we have to be careful about turning this into an equitable issue between students and other riders. And the reason for that is if a bus passes you by, we don't, that could be somebody who's a student or somebody who's not a student. And so I think that the general public suffers along with the students, and I don't think anything is being suggested by the delegation that would push them ahead of other users in an inequitable way. I think that the gap in service, which is noted around the university, but it's a gap in service that affects all users equally. So we're sort of all equal opportunity sufferers when the buses don't stop to pick us up. Second of all, I think it's a mistake to say they have such a deep discount and just assume that translates into I don't think anybody used the word subsidy, but sort of a serious advantage, because can anybody tell me what percentage of the students actually use the bus? Because everybody pays for it, whether you use it or not.
You want me? to-
Yes, please.
Maybe we'll ask our delegates on this.
To the chair, I think the most recent report about 65%
Use or don't use?
use.
Use, 60% use, it's that, I'm seeing nods from the delegates as well.
And thank you, I think that's an important factor. So I would like to, first of all, I think the sharing of data. The sharing of data, element that's been requested, I think should be done immediately. I don't think we need any further report back. I think they've made, correct me if I'm wrong, staff or delegates, but USC has made their data requests very explicit. And, there's no reason why that data should not be shared immediately. So I'd like to see that done, right away. And I think the joint advocacy is something that could be done, right away and ongoing. I think the other points, particularly the governance issue, does need to be, run by council, as was pointed out. So with that, I will certainly support the motion, but I think having this data made public is going to benefit not just the student writers, but the public at large.
Especially Jordan.
I just have a comment with respect to the permanent delegation status and the fact that we do have a report due back to the commission. I believe it was Commissioner Rahman's motion that asked about a customer advisory panel that would advise the commission. Obviously, the envision of that would be more than just Western. And I just put a caution out, again, based on the discussion that we're hearing today, that there are all kinds of customers that all have different needs that obviously we have to try and balance. So I would just throw a caution out with respect to this one, that's going to kind of put the cart in front of the horse of us coming back and explaining how a customer advisory panel could work that would deal with a much broader customer base.
Commissioner Hopkins?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the delegates for coming out. I do have a couple of questions for you on number one of the motion. I'm very supportive of 2, 3, and 4. I won't even go there. And as you know, we are going to be having, I think, a public information session November the 6th as well at Central Library. So there's always other, I would definitely encourage you to come out to that. On the permanent delegation status, I do have a few concerns about that. I do agree with the governance review, which is coming to us in the beginning of next year, maybe 3 years. I can confirm that with staff or
It's council's process, but I believe it's end of Q1 of 2026.
end of Q1. So I agree with the commissioner saying that it is important that review take into account these I guess, permanent delegation statuses, but there's always an opportunity for you to come to the commission and ask for a delegation request. I would definitely encourage you, but I am not supportive of doing it as a permanent thing. I really don't even understand what that really means, but I do understand the importance of it as well. So I'd rather have the process take place, and with that, if you could pull one out and support the rest.
And Commissioner Pelosi?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming. We're running into each other at more and more events, so I know you're out there and busy. You would know I'm not 1 or 2 minutes words. So I'm gonna ask for things to be pulled and perhaps a referral. So I'm fine with the joint advocacy for funding. I'm fine with exploring service improvements, realizing people live off campus, on campus, and there's peak times. My concerns are enhancing the data transparency. Are they asking for any data that isn't currently already available? I know sometimes it might be toward the heart, find, or they hit different reports coming through the commission. Just my main concern is we see this through council that sometimes groups are asking for information. The next thing you know, staff is working for them, pulling special reports and data, and they come back and tell us this is taking so many hours and not all the reports available. So that's my concern with the data. If it's just help find the right data at the right time, or if I'm looking for this, where's the right report or reports to come back versus making special reports and having a key staff contact that would just be pulling all data for you.
Would you like to ask the delegates what kind of data they want?
Yeah, and then if staff reply, if it's available and how to help them connect with what they're seeing.
Yeah, so recently with our latest contract negotiation, we're finally able to see like the number of taps in our contracts. So that's like a great start in this direction. I think specifically for the issues outlined today, the data that we'd like to see is specifically overcrowding data, and then how many buses are being missed, kind of like wanted to say about how many overcrowding reports they have. The latest data I have for that is actually in the 5-year mobility plan, which is from 2023. That's the oldest data I could find. There may be more recent versions of it, but it doesn't get published frequently. Even in the staff report that you've received today, it shows you the boardings, but not the overcrowding report. So it just shows you how many folks are actually boarding onto the buses successfully, but not the specific data that you can drill down for overcrowding. So that would be the primary data that we're after today. And then we'd also, to actually help answer some of the questions that were brought up today about, the value that students are receiving through this bus pass, and are they, being over-serviced or
Great
under-serviced?
answer, that's not my question.
No.
I appreciate that, but looking for an answer from staff.
Yeah, through the chair, we do look at overcrowding data on a regular basis, so that would be something that would be easily able to be provided. It is not currently on our open data source on the website, however.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Just always a red flag for me when I see enhancing data accessibility versus transparency, that it's just not there. It's not confidential. So I'm fine with that one. As for this facilitating student feedback and looking for permanent delegation status, I'm a hard no on that one. That would essentially, in perpetuity, that they can come in at any time for any item or every item and have a standing delegation request. So procedurally, I'm a no on that one. Looking to refer that request, for that can come back with the staff reports of the advisory users that Ms. Blanchke has spoke of, realizing at that time we can consider the appropriate spot on that table for these students, the Fanshawe students, and the community at large of who would be best to populate information and have a say on reports as they come back.
Sure, so motion to refer part one to that process, to the report. Is there a seconder for that? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. All right, so we're just going to be dealing with the referral. Any comments on that? Commissioner Chassaud and Roman?
Well, started out with the thinking that the ad hoc position, that was sort of altered down to being a permanent delegation status, which they could certainly do the paperwork each month for a delegation status, but things do emerge at meetings. And the concern that I have with delegation status is I really appreciate how flexible the chair has been in terms of allowing members of the commission to ask delegates questions, but that might not always be the case. As a matter of fact, I observed the meeting not too long ago where the chair specifically said, no, you can't do that. So the difference between being an ad hoc member of the committee and having delegation status is you can respond to things. And I think somehow that response is necessary. I'm getting beyond the referral motion, so I'll just be voting no on the referral motion.
Commissioner Roman?
Thank you, and through you. So, with respect to the standing delegation, I think permanent delegation is probably a stronger word than standing delegation. The reason for my support for that is exactly the fact that they could just submit ongoing communications saying that they want standing delegation. This is just procedurally us doing it or them doing it. So if the matter is to be referred, I just want to be clear that that doesn't block them from submitting one communication to say they want standing delegation on an ongoing basis.
Delegate would be, he would decide.
Yes.
I mean,
ask yourself.
Yeah, so your question is, can they submit each month to request to delegate?
Just one. I
Just
mean,
one to ask?
we can, yeah, this is my concern. There's nothing procedurally that says that you have to submit one communication per month to ask for delegation status as it sits right now in our procedures. So if they wanted to, technically, they don't have to go through this, if we were to refer this, they could come back with a communication and say, we want standing delegation status at every meeting in one communication, and writ large, that would be acceptable within our procedures. So, one to me is the same as the other, which is why I'm not going to support the referral.
Okay. Great, Commissioner Plaza.
Thank you. I was just trying to find a way forward, so I'm a hard no. I think I've made that clear. Because if it's a standing one, we don't need to know that they're coming. They just show up. Our agenda's already set. That all sounds like they show in. What if they come in late and they're like, well, I have a standing delegation. You went on without me, but we didn't know they were coming. So procedurally, it's too messy. And, I know I prepare differently. Like if I see your communication, I know you're coming. I have a chance to read it, look into things versus someone just appearing. I was trying to get a voice where they would have a vote and a say, which doesn't mean it still can't happen when that advisory report comes back. So that was just my reasoning. It was just trying to find a place with more structure and more direct access to the information. Thank you.
And just for my clarification, when does that report back to me for
October and November, we said by the end of the year.
and would there be a spot available for like, do you have a recommendation or, I guess I'll wait. I don't want you to tell me what's in the report before you. Anyway, I'm imagining there might be a spot for student voices on that. But, okay, any other comments or questions on the referral? Okay, I'm sorry, okay, I'll call the vote. So all in favor of referring to the report back on the General Advisory Committee? So anyone in favor of referral, please raise your hand. 3, and then against referral, 3, so that motion fails, referral does not happen, so then it still stays in this voting block that we have here. Motion Plaza.
Can you call it separate then?
I might call 3 or 4 separately, just to make it easier, and then the motion to receive. Okay, so any other comments on the delegation or questions? Am I going for voting? Seeing none, okay, so I might put the first one is just motion to receive the delegation, so moved by Commissioner Rahman, second by Commissioner Hopkins. Any comments? Seeing none, so all in favor? And that carries, so motion to receive is done. Then the first item is the permanent delegation status motion.
Sorry, we're calling it permanent or standing? I've heard both terms used.
Thank you. Let me make sure it's standing.
Standing.
Thank you. Okay, so and then all 4 were already moved and seconded by Commissioner Rahman and Commissioner. Okay, so all already moved and seconded, so I'll just be calling votes on those. Yeah.
May I clarify something? Sure. And through you, so I guess it's clarified by you. But my clarification is standing delegation happens during our delegated meeting spot on the agenda. There's no addition to other parts of the agenda. It would just be at that time. And standing delegation, just like we have with advisory committees at standing committees of council, would be that they can delegate should they choose to, but they don't have to use that delegation option.
That was my understanding, as we just followed council the same resolutions.
Sorry, yeah, procedurally, do we have a bylaw or something on the books here in this space that outlines expectations for student delegations?
We have a protocol. Do you have it with you, Carolyn? I don't know if there's something specific about standing delegation in there. Yeah, it mirrors the cities, but it could,
Delegations, so written request, business, speaking to matters, speaking limited 5 minutes, repetition prevented, appearance, previous immigration for new immigration. So there's 5 items under delegations. So it doesn't specifically cover standing delegations. Okay. Any other questions? No, okay, calling the vote for item 1, all in favor. 3, and then against. 3, so that fails. So I guess it just doesn't happen then. Okay. Sorry. Okay, and then moving
What was
on,
the vote on that?
3-3.
3-4.
There's
Oh, 3-3. Yeah, right, right.
3-3, which failed. Then item 2, so then, sorry. Service improvements, collaboration on service improvements. So that's moving second. So all in favor? And any opposed? So that carries unanimously. Item 3, enhancing data transparency specifically to overcrowding. So that was moving second. So all in favor? And any opposed? So it carries as well. And then item 4, joint advocacy efforts. All in favor? And any opposed? So it carries as well. So that's all the items. So you folks are done. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate your delegation. Look forward to continued solutions and working on this together. But if you'd like to see in the gallery, as we'll be watching, we're going to be moving on. So we're going to ask you to leave. But thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, everyone. So that concludes our delegations. And then we have 3 items to go on camera. So consistent with the provision of section 239 of the Municipal Act, the commission will move in camera to consider the following: update on labor relations or employee negotiations matter, personal matters that are identifiable individual, including municipal employees, and an ongoing investigation respecting the municipality ombudsman or an appointed closed meeting investigator. So I'll take the motion to go to camera, Commissioner Hopkins and then Commissioner Pelosi. So that's been moved and seconded. And all right, so I'll ask Commissioner Roman to report out.
Thank you. I will report out that progress is made on our.
Thank you. Okay, moving to approval of minutes, to move everything up. So approval of minutes held on August 7th. I would like to note, there's an edit that circulated to the secretary regarding, thank you. Thinking from the Ardon buses concept, we had a long debate about receiving and directing administration report back, and just removing item 2 because we did not actually push down the agreement. So other than those edits, I didn't see any other edits in the minutes. So motion to approve those minutes as amended. Commissioner Rahman, and seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Any questions, comments on the minutes? Seeing none, then all in favor? Okay, that carries. Great, now moving down to communications. So skipping to item 2, because we approved the letter with the delegation. So item 2, for myself and Commissioner Rahman regarding contact with Fair Payment. I'll move to Commissioner Rahman to introduce the new bill.
Thank you. So, as the letter states, we're looking for staff to prepare a report back by the end of Q1 2026, outlining projected timeline, cost, and resources required to implement a contactless Fair Payment. We note that in other transit systems across Canada, they've been able to adopt this technology, and noted other cities of similar sizes and suburbs that do have this contactless service available for riders. So we're looking to I'm looking to put forward the motion to receive the report back by the end of Q1 2026 on this payment methods.
Moved by Commissioner Rahman and secondary, Commissioner Hopkins. Want to say a question?
No, I just, want to thank the commissioners for bringing this forward. I was in Toronto using transit on the weekend and used my visa, but I do want to, note that, if I had to take the bus first to the subway, I would have to, pay cash or use my card. I know it's on the work plan. I think we're just bringing it forward. I think it really does strengthen public transit, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No. Okay, so we have a motion moved and seconded, so all in favor? And any opposed? So that carries. Thank you. And thank you staff for bringing that up a little bit quicker. And then move to Commissioner Pelosi, a letter from yourself. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna be looking for a seconder on it as well. So this one, I just wanna highlight for everyone else. I checked with the city clerks, Ms. Barbone and Ms. Palenski, beforehand and crafted this based on that. if we want a transit pass, it's taxable, whereas our current operators just have like their ID badge, which can't do onto any bus, so it's already in the system, not creating a new system. And it would just be in place that, we'd be issued them, and any future boards, including up to the public, would be issued them. It's not a taxable benefit. And it would allow you to get on the buses if you want to check out overcrowding issues or an industrial route, you can just show your pass and hop on. Apparently it used to be in place back in the day, got removed, so we need to reintroduce that.
Okay, so moved by Commissioner Plaza, secondary for that out.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Commissioner Trossa, so it's on the floor. Any questions, comments from folks? Commissioner Hopkins?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions on this and thank the commissioner for at least having the conversation with this commission. I'm not sure how it pertains to a family using it, and also I'd like to have a more of an idea of the cost associated with bringing this forward to the commission. I don't know if there's any information you can share. I appreciate the work the commissioner did on knowing that we can do this, and it used to be there, but stuff, like a little bit more information.
Through the chair, in terms of the cost, as the commissioner indicated, we currently have employee passes that our employees utilize. We would do something similar for the commission, so there's not really a cost there. That process is already in place, and it's a photo ID. So essentially, if you were to board a bus, you would need to show that pass with your photo. So it's not something you can share amongst family members. It's for you and you only. In terms of cost, there's really, I mean, the only impact would be if we had a whole bunch of commissioners that buy monthly passes that no longer do, it would be a decline in revenue. That would be the only associated cost.
And a follow-up question, is it mandatory? Does every commissioner, would they be issued a pass, or could it be something that each commissioner can ask for?
I believe in the motion that's here, it's up to the individual commissioner. That's the way it's been drafted.
Questions? Commissioner Plaza?
Thank you. The other information that you probably see, the transit passes employer transit company, that was just from the CRA guidelines that Ms. Barbone gave me. So I just, in case there's any research questions, I included that letter just for background information. Apologies if it created confusion, but the motion is just that the London Transit Commissioners be offered the opportunity to receive an LTC badge pass during their tenure serving on the commission.
Yeah. Those questions? I may make a few comments from the chair. I appreciate the work that you've done to bring this forward. I know it's something that we've talked about in the past. At this point, given that the commission is comprised of counselors, I'm not supportive of it just because, for example, some of us choose to receive a travel allowance, and I actually use some of that to pay for bus tickets. And so I personally just think that some of us ourselves are covered off under that category as well. I do think it's a cool idea. I think in the future when it's not comprised of all counselors, and maybe perhaps under the next governance review process, that's an opportunity for that to have that discussion at that point. But as much as I appreciate it at this point, I'm just not going to support it here.
Chair, through you then. My intention was that when I started serving on this board, that it wasn't gonna all just be populated by counselors, and I thought we were moving towards the process to repopulate it. Is that still accurate?
I mean, I can tell you what happened at council that we were all at.
Yeah.
We submitted a letter that was rejected by council, and that now we are all serving until there's a governance change. So as much as I also would like to have people who are not counselors on
it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was just, as I realized we are all elected officials right now serving this, my intention was still that council will repopulate. That is still my desire with members of the public to get this in for when they start. It's already in the books and the process is established, and they can be offered it. They don't need to take it, and had already checked off to make sure that we weren't in contradiction with anything with our counselor hats on in relation to our expense policy, realizing some of this do takes a transportation allowance. So that was the extra information from Anna Lisa covering off both ends. You do with what you want, was just trying to do some legwork prior to other members rejoining us.
Commissioner Rahman and then Hopkins.
Thank you. I would support a referral for this to have, coincide with or be received, or I'll say after we receive the governance, report. I do think that it puts us in an awkward situation. Personally, I feel awkward about it, approving it now at this time when the commission is solely council. I do, however, see the benefit perhaps if we go look at other models. So I'm not sure if somebody would support a referral.
So moving referral, second by Commissioner Hopkins. Did you have comments on the referral?
Yeah, the referral would go to the new structure of the commission, and because I don't want this to be defeated, I appreciate the work the commission has done, and it may look consistently with the commission, so that support the referral.
Okay, so then, for staff, just to clarify, council receiving by end of Q1 the governance report, would you want this to go with it? Or for staff to send after whatever council decides will be the next iteration, go to that body?
Whatever council decides for the next iteration.
Okay, does that make sense?
The next commission post the governance review.
Perfect, okay, wonderful. I want to make sure everybody knew where to send this. Okay, so it's moved as a referral, seconded by Commissioner Hopkins. Any comments on the referral? Okay, then calling the vote, all in favor of referring this? 3 and against? 2, okay, referral is carried. Okay. That's that, and then moving to item 4, the fourth report for accessible public transit service advisory committee. There's some items in there, going to bring into that. I believe that there are 3 recommendations that came out of that in regards to the RFP. I don't know if there's questions or comments on that item. Commissioner Trosser?
Yes, thank you very much. We spent through the chair, we spent a lot of time at this meeting discussing these. There were also 2 previous meetings where there were recommendations, which are not in front of us right now. But I just want to say, as the commissioner who attended these meetings, I benefited a lot from hearing the discussion. Because one of the big strengths of the people we have on this committee is they have a lot of really very, very significant lived experience in terms of using the system. So I'm in favor of all 3 of these. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that they're going to be enacted. But I think the way the minutes are reflected in terms of the recommendation is to receive the report. And I'm a little uncomfortable leaving it that, because we've received the report, but what? Oh wait.
Yeah, I was just reading it, so that's not what this says, if you want me to read it.
If the intention of that is to adopt these recommendations, then that's fine. I think what I want to see happen is I have a lot of confidence in this committee, and I'm disappointed that they're not here. That was their choice, apparently. I can't force them to come, but I would like the commission to endorse these as not as something that has to go and become enacted, but as something that will be considered for the RFP. So just to receive the report for me is just not adequate.
So within the report, it does say, the committee requested the commission direct administration to give consideration to the following when finalizing the RFP, and there's 3. So if you'd like, you could do a motion to receive the minutes and to direct administration to give consideration to the following items.
Yes, I would be much more comfortable with that. I would like to direct the administration to include these 3 items. What concerns me is, and it's not on the record before us today, but this is not the first recommendation that this committee has made. So I think the chair needs to be requested to submit the other ones, although they're in the minutes as well.
Yeah, through the chair, our general practice when we receive feedback from this advisory committee is when we do bring a report back from the commission, we will articulate all of the feedback received from the advisory committee and why we're recommending it or why we aren't. So all of that will be clearly articulated, not just from this meeting. We've got the recommendations from the previous meeting as well. So that will all be spelled out in the report that comes back.
That makes me feel a lot better, because I didn't want to lose those first two meetings. Would it please the commission if, somebody undertook to put all those together in one document, or is that not necessary?
They all will be in the document that comes to the commission with the final recommended
Okay.
provisions of the RFP.
I just want to make sure that the commission, that the advisory committee is listened to. Because some of the discussions were, got a little contentious at points. And then this is the reflection of what the advisory committee wanted to do. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm not gonna make any other motion, and that's fine.
Okay, thank you. So I've got the motion to receive and direct administration on those three items, or to review those three items. So moved by Commissioner Trossel, second by Commissioner Hopkins. Any other questions or comments? No? I would say I've gone to the last two meetings as well, and it's been great. So really good input and good discussion by the group. Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? And any opposed? So that carries. Thank you. And now moving to consent items. So usually I'll just take a motion for all of them unless anyone wants to pull anything pulled separately to vote on. Do anything pulled separately, or?
It's a question more than a separate vote.
Okay, well then I might just get a motion to get on the floor. So moved by Commissioner Hopkins, sorry, Rahman. I'm looking at Hopkins. Commissioner Rahman, seconded by.
I'll second.
Commissioner Hopkins, thank you. So moving a second for all of those, and then I'll go to Commissioner Trossel for his question.
Yes, under the specialized operating budget, there was mention of penalties that were assessed. I don't think the report needs to be amended, but could we just hear an oral report as to what those penalties were for, and how much each one was, and what the nature of that was?
Through the chair, so the contract for specialized includes a provision that if the provider is unable to provide the level of service that we've indicated we require, they will be penalized. And the way the penalties work is essentially, we don't pay them for the hours that they didn't provide. Essentially, they pay us. So they're essentially giving us money for the hours that they were unable to provide. That the majority of those funds happened in the first 3 months of this past year when the contractor was having difficulties with vehicles and getting things in place for service. So you can say that it's essentially down to zero for the last number of months, or very close. I mean, it's not unheard of that a vehicle will go down, during a day. It's no different than us on conventional, but the majority of those penalties occurred in the first couple of months of the year.
Almost all, through the chair, almost all.
Yeah.
Currently meeting service as expected every day within about 1%. So fantastic.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the consent items? Which happens?
Yeah, I just want to thank staff. I really found the reports very informative, especially with the fall service update and the construction special events update. A lot of great information, giving me the information I need to share with the community. It's good to see our operating budgets for both conventional and specialized sort of in that favor there. And looking forward to the annual drop-in session. My question is, I know it's on November the 6th. Is that the only session we do with annually with getting information from the public? Through
the chair, that drop-in session specifically meets AODA requirements because we're required to have board members in attendance at least one public session. So that one specifically, like that, we only do once a year. Katie's team, depending on the nature of what's included in the service plan, there may be sessions. If we're going into a new area, for example, we would have, sessions targeted in that area to get direct feedback. We also do voice of the customer every year, which is surveys that occur on board the buses up for conventional and via telephone for specialized. So we have a number of different interactions, but this one is specific again to meet that AODA requirement and to provide the public with the opportunity to come and share their feedback on essentially all things transit.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And just to say, if there's anything happening in the ward that I represent, feel free to reach out to me so I can share that information with the residents as well. So thank you for the reports that were good.
Commissioner Rahman?
Thank you. So again, my thanks for the report as well. I just want to comment on the fall update specifically. I'm just wondering, is it possible to get this information in terms of the buses that we're still waiting on? So we've got the 34 that were delivered, and I believe it says there's about 20 of them that are now on the road. So there's 14 left to come. And then we were looking at addressing and figuring out where they're going to go from there. Right now, we've been given a timeline, I guess, of mid-November for all 14 to be on the road. I just want to confirm that mid-November timeline is still what we're working towards, and that we will have enough operators in order to be able to meet that requirement in mid-November.
Through the chair, yes, mid-November is still our target. And yes, I'm actually, after this meeting the next group of new hires for operators, and we've got another class in the queue. So we plan to be in good shape on both counts, again, barring any new issue that arises that we haven't considered at this point, but we still are hoping for that mid-November, which is our next sign up period.
Thank you. So we do not have a driver shortage at this time, nor do we feel that we're going to have pressures on drivers as of mid-November in order to meet this demand. Okay, great. With respect to the data that we're going to provide to USC, but also data that I'm hoping will be more publicly available along what's in our heat map, basically, where we're seeing those pressure points. Do we envision that the dense areas will be the ones that we will look to address first, and how will we communicate that out to the public?
Through the chair. So yes, obviously where we're seeing the most crowding and schedule adherence issues are where we're addressing, and planning is monitoring that on a daily basis. When we have buses, when we're confident that we've got enough buses that we can put those ones back in on the routes that we pulled out, there will be communication to the customers, and the schedules will be changed online. So we'll post a new schedule that then has those buses built back in, and that will all be communicated through our regular channels.
Do we anticipate that could happen before November 5th?
It could. Again, it really is we monitor this on a daily basis, and it really is a daily thing. But like I said, if we get to the point where we're confident, we've had a week where we know that we've got enough buses to put something back the way it was, then we'll make that call. We meet, as Joanne indicated earlier, we're meeting with the union twice a week, and we're meeting regularly to make those calls.
Thank you. And these are concerns I'm hearing from residents in my ward as well. They're integral to sustaining the service in this area. What I would say is I would prefer also to receive a briefing note, if possible, with a weekly update on how we're shaping out on this, and whether or not we think, one, that we're going to be able to meet the further out deadline of November 15th, but in the interim, if we're able to confidently meet those timelines to increase service in those areas that we're seeing that are dense, that we will be putting communication out to us as soon as possible, and that way we can share that publicly.
Do staff need a motion to ask for a weekly briefing, or would someone here to be able to shoot a quick note?
Yeah.
Thank you. That would be great. That would be helpful, just knowing the buses are going out.
Yeah,
I think it makes us all of us very happy. Right? Yeah, leave the buses go out. Okay, any other questions or comments on the items? The only one I had was, in regards to the daily boarding heat map. Is there a heat map that's similar for the overcrowding? Or can you make maps like that?
We don't have one at this time, but it is something that we could provide.
Can we get it when we get like these kinds of updates? Can we get an overcrowding map too, just for our information?
Yes.
I like the heat maps. I read everything, but I find it conceptually hard to remember where all the routes go. So when I see the heat map, it helps me understand where the pressure points are. So thank you. Okay, that's my main comment. And then yes, I look forward to the annual drop session as well. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, so I have that moved and seconded, so all in favor to receive consent items, and that carries. So there are no items for direction. The next meeting will be October 27th at 9:30 a.m. here. And otherwise, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. If I, wish for the outside, quick question.
from the holiday times, I'm not sure, I know it's a ways out, but it's not really a ways out. I'm not sure, just as we're new commissioners, if there's employee appreciation or anything planned that our attendance would be noted or appreciated at, if that could just be flagged or set, sorry.
Yes, that's a great comment. Yes.
Now second adjournment, that's why I was just my.
Chairman moved by Commissioner Trosso, seconded by Commissioner Plaza, all in favor to adjourn. Thank you, great, and thank you everyone for a productive meeting. I know we went a little bit longer than we usually do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And